Ladies and gentlemen, JP for 730 Sports. This was a subject I wasn't going to touch on, but in thinking about it, I uh, I couldn't figure out how I really felt about the situation. And the situation I'm speaking on is the so-called Louisville Basketball scandal. Um, if scandal is the word you choose to use, I don't, but just for the sake of understanding what I'm talking about, we'll call it the Louisville Basketball scandal. I was turning this thing over in my head after I seen Katina Powell make her rounds in the media and the Outside the Lines report. I read some stuff online, and actually the story broke maybe 2 or 3 weeks before that. Some people touched on it, and I really didn't think that much of it. But thinking about it and turning it over in my head for the past few days, I come to realize that I really don't care. Here's the only thing I care about concerning this story. If this woman was pimping out, prostituting underage girls, including her daughters, then she may need to do a little jail time. But as far as Louisville basketball players being entertained by strippers / hookers and Andre McGee paying this woman, Katina Powell, to provide these services, I really don't care. And some people will make it a moral issue, and that's fine. Here's my thing. Let's talk about reality, because sometimes morals and reality don't work together. They can't coexist. Here's the deal. Morally speaking, is it wrong? I guess, if you feel that way, I can go with that. Reality says it's the cost of doing business. Here's the deal. This is not the fault of Louisville Basketball. This is not the fault of Rick Pitino. This is not the fault of Andre McGee. This is not the fault of Katina Powell. Now, I question her motives. I don't understand why she would come out and all of a sudden want to put this story out and basically make it sound like she's just trying to bring attention to a problem that's happening in the NCAA as a whole, because I personally don't think she cares about that. She wanted to write a book, she wanted to make some money, she wanted some fame, and she had the avenue to make that happen. Okay? But I don't blame any of the parties involved, and I don't look at them wrongly in this situation. Except if Katina Powell, let me repeat, if Katina Powell was using underage girls, her daughters, which she claimed she didn't by the time the Louisville stuff was taking place, but prior to that she did say she was pimping out her daughters who were underage at the time. If she was using underage girls for this, then I have a serious issue with that. But outside of that, I don't care about any of this, and here's my reason why. This is the fault of the NCAA. We have to get to the root of these problems. See, the thing about this is whenever one of these stories break, everybody wants to talk about the players involved. And when I mean players, I mean all parties involved, not just the basketball players or the football players. I'm talking about the people who provided the dirt, the people who made the dirt possible, those that provided the money, those that oversaw the students break rules and cheat on tests and this, that, and the third. All this stuff that people want to make a big deal about. Everybody wants to get on their soapbox and talk about morals and what's right and wrong. This is a life thing. This is about reality. The NCAA has a problem, and they've always had this problem, and until they get out of their own way, they will continue to have this very problem. What do these schools have to offer these kids besides a scholarship? And don't sell me on free education. because half of these kids aren't even doing 4 years, and if they are, the first 8 games at home take care of everything that these kids were going to get for 4 years. It's a lot of money being made in the game. A lot of money being made in college athletics. So let's not make it seem like they're struggling and they're having a hard time coming out their pockets, providing an education for these kids who play for these basketball teams and these football teams. And I'm going to use basketball and football because they're the main sports. They generate the most revenue. Until you figure out a way for a school to say, you should come here because we offer this, that can separate them from another school, then you're going to continue to have this problem. In other words, it's time to pay the players. That's the bottom line. You got to pay them. And some people talk about, well, how is it fair? Because then suppose Notre Dame can pay more money than, say, Louisville. Well, welcome to life. It's the real world. You see, that's life. We have to stop trying to make college athletics this pure thing that we don't want to involve money when it's all run and generated by money in order to make more money. There's no purity in the game. So all those people talking about it being pure and you know, sweet, wholesome college kids. Nah, these guys are out here to get money. They're out here to create a situation to where they can go on to bigger and better things, whether that is pro sports or getting an education. But if they give you 4 years of their life, 4 years of their body, your education does not equal up to that. If you ask me, you still owe them something. You see, the NCAA has to create some sort of form of payment. And that's just the way it is. Because if you don't have anything to offer a kid to come to your school besides what you can do under the table, that creates a situation where everybody has to do dirty deeds. And don't believe that Louisville's the only team playing this game. It's played a lot. They just got caught because somebody decided to snitch for whatever reason she came up with, whatever reason she told herself that why she's doing it. You know, she decided to snitch. And if she didn't snitch, nobody would know anything about this except the people that were involved. But don't think it's just Louisville. It's happening everywhere. Everywhere. Whether it's girls, it's money, it's cars, it's cheating on tests, it's kids that don't go to class. They basically hang out in their apartments all day and show up for practice and games. It's happening everywhere. So you have to fix the problem. You just can't try to solve the Louisville problem because the problem is just not with Louisville. You have to make a way for these schools to say, hey, I know that every school you're visiting has certain facilities and we have those too. And they have this great stadium and we have that too. But what can separate us from them is we can pay you X number of dollars. And that's what it's going to boil down to. This life revolves around, believe it or not, some of you don't want to admit it, but it's about finances. See, if you put money on the table, now you don't have to try to pry a kid to your school with hookers. If you put money on the table, now you don't have to try to bribe kids to come to your school under the table with money for their mom or money for their father or you know, a car or things of these natures. Put the money on the table and it solves all of these problems. You don't have to cheat anymore because the dollars talk. And it might be sad to say, but you know, people say, well, the middle schools and the smaller schools, well, they don't have a shot because they can't provide the same amount of money as, say, Alabama or Tennessee or, you know, whatever, Oregon, whatever. Guess what? That's life. If you ain't got it, you can't play. If you can't pay, you can't play. So you can't buy 5-star recruits. You have to go pay 3-star recruits. But that's even a very weak argument because there are a lot of teams out there who are not considered as talented, but are winning a lot of games and beating up on some of the so-called more talented teams. So don't tell me because we can't buy 5-star players that we're not going to be able to compete. Therefore, it's unfair when every week I turn around, we got some small school knocking off a big school. It happens every week. It just is what it is. So you want to stop the Louisville situations. You want to stop the kids from cheating on tests. You want to stop the kids from getting cars from dealerships who happen to be boosters. And you want to stop all of this. Put the money on the table. Let's stop glancing over the bigger problem. To hell with Katina Powell. To hell with everything she did and who knew what and who facilitated and who gave money. Who cares? The bigger problem is Louisville felt like, or representatives of Louisville felt like, they had to do this in order to get players and to keep players. That's the problem. Why do they feel like they need to go this route? Because you can't offer them anything else. You have to pay the players. Bottom line. Everybody else is getting paid. The coach is getting paid. Athletic directors are getting paid. Everybody's making money in the game. Except the guys who play the game. If you start paying these kids, then their decisions will be based upon location and money, not location and hookers, not location and free cars, not location and not having to go to class, not locations and who's going to slide me envelopes at the end of every game. You have to make it about the money. Now, some of you are going to disagree with that, but I challenge you to tell me how to solve the problem in college athletics, besides acting like it really doesn't exist until one of these situations pop up. The problem in college athletics, mainly football and basketball, it's the same thing over and over again. Somebody got caught doing something they weren't supposed to do. They're signing autographs for money. They're selling memorabilia. How do you stop it? Easy. You pay them. It's very simple. Everybody's getting money. Pay the players. You got to pay the players. Basically, contracts. College football is nothing more than a breeding ground for NFL players anyway. When they go to the NFL, they're getting paid. Pay them. College basketball, the same. You want the kids to stay in school a little longer? They keep having this argument about college basketball being watered down because the kids aren't staying very long. You got the upper echelon kids. They're coming and they're staying for a year and they're getting the hell on. I don't have time to be playing college games for free when the NBA is willing to pay me money to do the same thing. You want them to stay longer? Pay them. Pay them. It's an investment. Because the longer those kids stay in school, the better product you get to roll out there. And the better product you get to roll out there, the more money you're going to make. But stop acting like these kids owe you something. Your education does not equal to all the money you make off their sweat. That's the bottom line in this thing. It's not about Louisville. It's not about Katina Powell. It's not about Todd Gurley selling memorabilia. It's not about any of that. It's about money. It's about money. If you paid the kids to come to Louisville, guess what? They can go out and get their own strippers and hookers, and nobody's in trouble, are they? You see? If you paid the kids, they say, oh, I'm going to Louisville because, first of all, I like Louisville, but they offer me X number of dollars. I'm going to Louisville. Now you don't have to provide hookers. You see? You have to pay the kids. That's the bottom line. Forget your purity of college athletics because guess what? It's not pure. If you think it's pure, you're lying to yourself. It's not pure. It's never been pure. It's always been money under the table. So let's take the money from underneath the table and put it on top of the table, and then everybody knows where everybody is coming from. There's no more mystery, no more secrets, no more bullshit. Pay the players. And then you don't have a Louisville basketball quote-unquote scandal. which I think is just completely ridiculous. The only thing I see wrong in this situation is this woman pimping out her own daughters. Outside of that, I don't care anything about this. This to me is no big deal. If Rick Pitino knew or didn't know, he can't come out and say he knew. He has to say he didn't know. And I honestly believe that he didn't know. But say he did. So what? So what? I don't understand the problem outside of this woman pimping her own children. That I have a problem with. And the sad part about this is, while she's making the rounds, talking about how she just tried to do the right thing after she already did the wrong thing. People like that amaze me. Do the wrong thing first and then come back and try to do the right thing later. Okay? Nobody's asking relevant questions. We all want to talk about the dirt that was happening and the girls that were provided and how much money was being made and who she was contacting, this, that, and the third. No, the real question is this. If I were running these interviews and these media runs that she's on to promote her book, how is it that you pimp out your own daughters and then stand in our face and try to tell us how you're trying to help NCAA and athletics by telling the truth, by writing a book that you're generating money for? Aren't you the same person who admitted to pimping out her own daughters? Now, the fact that she admitted to pimping out her own daughters is exactly why I believe the story. I think she's telling the 100% truth. I believe she's telling nothing but truth. Because usually when somebody tells a lie to make someone look bad, they usually won't make themselves look bad in the process. Now, if you're going to tell me that I pimped out my own daughters, and you know that that's going to generate a serious reaction, and then you tell me that you were providing hookers and strippers for the Louisville basketball team, I have to listen to what you're saying, because you just gave me some serious dirt about you that makes me look at you kind of sideways. You're possibly telling the truth here. I believe every word she's saying. I don't believe that she's right. I don't believe in snitching. After you did this dirt, you should have shut up and kept on moving with life. But now you want to snitch. You want to write a book. You know, you want to try to make it seem like you're trying to help or you have some sort of cause here. No, you don't have a cause here. You're just generating another dollar. Let's be 100 about it, you know? So that's my take. I really didn't want to touch on that, man, because, but I felt like me not giving a damn, and maybe I'm the only person that feels that way. I don't know. You know, you guys let me know. But I really don't care. I don't care about this at all. It's not a moral issue with me that 18-year-old kids are being around strippers and hookers. I don't care about any of that because it's life. Welcome to the real world. Somewhere out there, we started believing that college athletes are supposed to live a certain type of a life outside of our own. In other words, they have to walk a different ground than we do. And that's BS. It's the real world, man. So let's be real about it and everybody be grown-ups and let's pay the players and then we don't have these problems. That's JP for 730 Sports. I'm out.